The heart of Thomas Alvar, a warrior's love and betrayal. The torches flickered wildly as whispers snaked through the crowded hall, eyes shifting between admiration and envy. Thomas Alvar stood at the grand entrance, his armor still streaked with grime from battle, drawing glances from every corner. He wasn't just another knight. No, Thomas was the man people talked about, the one who pulled off impossible victories. But behind that strong jawline and the glint of triumph in his eyes, there was a storm brewing. The kind that makes you wonder, who's really on your side when shadows were the faces of friends? Born on a hot June day back in 1360, Thomas's life was anything but simple. His father, Sir Alvar de Monte, had raised him with a no-nonsense attitude. Glory came with a cost, and you'd better be ready to pay it. But it was his mom, Lady Isolde, who whispered reminders that real strength came from knowing when to fight and when to hold back. By the time he was 13, Thomas was already making his way through Queen Eleanor's court, picking up on every side-eye and murmured word. But tonight? Tonight was different. Among the echoes of cheers and clinking goblets, a pair of piercing blue eyes locked onto his from across the hall. And just like that, everything began to shift. The lady with fire in her eyes. Enter Lady Eleanor. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill, quiet noblewoman. No, she had a mind as sharp as her father, Lord Hastings. Her first marriage had been more a chess move than a love story, and ended way too soon when war came knocking. She knew how to navigate court politics like a pro. Thomas first spotted her at that feast, where the tension crackled like fire. She wore a deep blue dress, eyes matching the fabric, and she stood with the kind of confidence that dared anyone to look away. Fresh from the battlefield, still smelling of sweat and steel, Thomas couldn't help but stare. Their eyes met for a beat too long. "Who are you?" moment that hit harder than a warhammer. Their marriage came wrapped in politics, not passion. But in the quiet moments between court duties and war councils, little sparks began to flicker. Thomas admired her wit, while Eleanor, battle-scarred by her past, kept her guard up. Trust for her was like gold, rare and hard-won. Enter the villains, snakes in silk robes. What's a love story without a little backstabbing, right? Enter Lord Cedric Blackthorne, a noble with ambition that could fill a kingdom. He was smooth, too smooth, could probably convince a fish to take a stroll. And then there was Lady Mirabelle, Eleanor's ex-best friend turned backstabber, all smiles with a bite behind every word. Cedric saw Thomas as a threat, plain and simple. And Lady Mirabelle? She wanted Eleanor to fall, even if she had to nudge her off the ledge herself. The war that changed everything. In 1383, when King Ferdinand passed and the kingdom spun into chaos, Thomas was summoned to lead Prince John of Avis's army. Standing at the castle gates, he looked down at Eleanor, holding her hand tight as if it might be the last time. "Promise me you'll come back," she whispered, her voice carrying a mix of fear and steel. "Always," Thomas said, knowing that promises, especially in times of war, were as thin as a thread. With Thomas gone, Cedric and Mirabelle spun their web. Rumors leaked through the court like spilled wine. Thomas was in it for himself, Eleanor was playing both sides. It was all poison, pure and simple. Eleanor held her head high, but every glance and half-smile from the courtiers felt like a knife twist. The Battle of Aljubarrota, blood, sweat, and heart. Thomas fought like a man with everything to lose. The Battle of Aljubarrota was the kind of fight that legends are built on. Outnumbered and pushed to the edge, Thomas led his men with a fire that burned for Eleanor, for the life waiting back home. When the dust settled, and victory was theirs, Thomas knew the hardest fight was yet to come. Homecoming and cold stares. Stepping back into court, Thomas expected cheers. Instead, he got whispers and wary glances. Cedric's lies had wormed their way deep. Even Eleanor looked torn. One night, the silence was too loud. They say you fought for yourselves, not for the crown, Eleanor finally said, eyes locked on his. His jaw clenched, the weight of battle and betrayal pressing down. And what do they say about you, Eleanor? He shot back, voice tight. The room felt smaller, heavy with words they didn't say. Trust on the line. Thomas felt like the ground beneath him was crumbling. Cedric made his move, forging letters that painted Thomas as a traitor. Mirabelle played her part, spreading those rumors with honeyed words. Eleanor, torn by loyalty and doubt, confronted Thomas. I need the truth, she said, voice shaking. Thomas, still bruised from war and now from the court's whispers, took her hands. I've fought for this kingdom and for you. If they come for me, so be it. But don't you ever doubt why I did it? The silence was like a drawn bowstring, until Eleanor's eyes softened, trust rekindling. Turning the tables. With Eleanor by his side, Thomas planned their move. They gathered allies quietly, exposing Cedric's forged letters and Mirabelle's lies. The court erupted in fury. Cedric was stripped of titles and banished, his smooth talk worth nothing now. Mirabelle begged for forgiveness, but Eleanor's voice cut through like a blade. Betrayal has its price, she said, turning away. Picking up the pieces. Thomas and Eleanor found their way back to each other, stronger for the fire they'd walked through. One night by the fire, Eleanor leaned into him, the silence between them warm and full. We've faced wars before, Thomas, but this was the hardest. He pulled her close, a tired smile touching his lips. And we won. Their love, once fragile, stood unbreakable. The court now looked at them with respect, a pair who'd faced down armies and the snakes hidden in plain sight. A legacy built on love and battle. Years later, Thomas would visit the chapel they'd built, sitting in the quiet, remembering battles and betrayals. But mostly, he remembered Eleanor's laughter. That sound was worth more than any victory, a reminder that the greatest battles aren't fought with swords, but with the heart. And that was Thomas Alvar's true story, a warrior who found his greatest fight was for love.